Chapter 41. Is it so easy to make money? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guan Shan stared at the little fat man who opened his mouth, greeted him enthusiastically, clasped his neck with one hand and said, "Sell it, why not sell it? What do you think of this dagger? The material is taken from extraterrestrial meteorite iron, and it is made by a well-known craftsman. It cuts iron like mud, and blows hair to break it. Selling you a fourth-order crystal core is not too much, right?" That the little fat man was choked by Guan Shan and couldn't move at all. He said slightly uneasily, "It clearly says 12 yuan and 50 cents on it, and the label hasn't been removed yet. Hey, I'm so young. Taiwan Novel Network Diamond Suit. Diamond Suit. The layout is small. Is this an ordinary dagger? This is your ladder to the pinnacle of life. Think about it, the rules are very clear, you only get points if you kill the demon clan. How long will it take to kill a monster with just your fists and feet? You know, the demon clan's body is much stronger than that of humans. But their necks are also soft. With just one stroke, more than half of the people here can be eliminated. One more stroke, and another half is eliminated. If I come here a few more times, top 10 is no longer a dream. I dare to strive for top 5. Think about your future, do you still think it's expensive? Guan Shan's voice was like the whisper of a devil, constantly tempting the little fat man. He kept describing a beautiful future, without saying a word about how to make the demon clan obediently stick out its neck. The little fat man was stunned for a moment when he was told that. Seeing the countdown getting closer and closer, the demon clan outside the shield became more and more excited. He gritted his teeth and nodded hard. I bought it. I'll give you the crystal core when I get out. Everyone is watching. I will never default on it. Look what you said. Guan Shan handed over the dagger generously, patted the fat man on the shoulder, and said happily, "Guest, go slowly." That he looked at the hesitant crowd and shouted loudly, "I still have a lot of weapons here. There are still 2 minutes left in the countdown. Every 30 seconds, the price will increase by 50%. If you want it, hurry up." That when the crowd saw the ordinary dagger in Fatty's hand, they were already filled with envy. Now that Guan Shan stimulated them, they all rushed over and started buying it. The audience in the stadium were all dumbfounded when they saw Guan Shan's sexy moves. Shouldn't the preparation time be used to discuss tactics? Why are you setting up a stall? No, why are you selling 2 folding knives for 1 crystal core? Is it so easy to make money? If I had known I had entered the competition, even if I was the first to be kicked out, this wave would have been worth it. Why does he carry so many weapons with him? It must be a shady secret, that except for the dagger he took out at the beginning, all the dozens of weapons Guan Shan had were sold out at once. In just a short time, he had earned 12 fourth-order crystal cores. This was because time was tight and he had no time to engage in hunger marketing. Guan Shan nodded towards the horizon with satisfaction. He was not afraid of these people defaulting on their debts. There were people outside him. Lu Jiangming looked at Lu Changsheng, who was constantly keeping accounts, with a black line on his face. What kind of master is he, and what kind of disciple does he teach? A bunch of idiots. Those cold weapons can only deal with the first-level monsters. After the monsters evolve to the second level, their skin and flesh are strong enough to withstand several rounds of bullets. With your just awakened physical fitness, I'm afraid even your defenses will be broken. No. Liang Yusin thought to herself and glanced sideways at Guan Shan. This man is so obsessed with money that he never forgets to make money. It is really a mistake to cooperate with him. He is a good-for-nothing guy. Wang Sheng was even too lazy to watch this farce. As a son of a wealthy family, he had never known what money was since he was a child, and he looked down on these 3 melons and 2 dates at all. He just felt a little disappointed. He originally listed Guan Shan as his biggest competitor, but he didn't expect that he was just a clown. Countdown to 5 seconds, everyone held their breath and stared at the demon clan outside the energy shield, their hearts pounding. As a soft light lit up, the shield burst like a bubble, and the rancid smell of the demon clan mixed with the stench of the roar. Rushing straight to the door, the battle begins. Wang Sheng's momentum gradually rose, and his well-fitting shirt was squeezed tight by the swollen muscles. He bent his knees and kicked off, leaving 2 holes on the ground. His whole body was like a cannon fired towards the area where the demon clan was the densest. Go! Liang Yusin flicked her fingers, and a silver-white thread fell from the sky and connected to the top of her head. A halo of energy suddenly lit up around her body, and she flashed into the city in the blink of an eye, unable to even see the afterimage. Most of the players are not that strong and can only start from the low-level monsters on the periphery, especially the short crawlers are their favorite. The crawling ghost looks like a toad but is about the size of a kitten. Apart from spraying venom from one hand, it has no means of attack and its movement speed is extremely slow. It's simply a tool for scoring points. Poof! The little fat man who was the first to buy a weapon chopped down a creeper with a jumping slash and stabbed its ugly head several times in excitement. It's ridiculous to say that, the little fat man was not so courageous originally, but when he thought that he had spent a lot of money to buy weapons, he would suffer a big loss if he did not kill a few monsters. Under this mentality, he actually overcame his instinctive fear and killed several crawlers in a row. Although the disgusting green blood really stinked, he became more and more excited as he watched his points rise little by little. "Ha, you fools who are reluctant to buy weapons, are you dumbfounded? Look how you compare with me." That the little fat man raised his head excitedly and looked at the horizon. In the cloudless sky, the names of all the survivors floated in the air, and the points they received were also updated in real time. Zhao Tianheng, 7 points. Seeing that his name had been ranked 10th, Zhao Tianheng jumped up excitedly, but when he saw the first place, he immediately gave up the idea of competing for the first place. Wang Sheng, 57 points, Liang Yusin, 49 points. People still can't compare with monsters. I'd better find a way to keep the top 50. Zhao Tianheng swallowed his saliva, wiped the sweat from his forehead with his filthy sleeves, and continued to rush to the next crawling ghost. Wang Sheng raised his head slightly, glanced at his ranking, took a deep breath, and exhaled slowly. In front of him stood a huge demon tribe that was 2 meters tall, with short limbs and wrinkles all over his body, except for the basketball-sized head. 2 scarlet lights were constantly flashing. The whole thing was a moving meat mountain. Sukuna. Demon Mother, they can revive low-level demons and make them fearless cannon fodder. Although they are only at the 2nd level, they are an important auxiliary force in the demon army. Sukuna Demon Mother has almost no combat power and relies on her fat body to withstand attacks. In war, she is usually guarded in the center by those demons who are good at defense, constantly consuming the lives of humans. However, in the trial field, considering the level of the contestants, the Demon Slayer division let them go a little and exposed them directly to the front line. Wang Sheng and Liang Yusin have exactly the same strategy: find and kill Sukuna Demon Mother, and by the way, clear out the low-level demons around it to earn points, for ordinary 2nd-level awakeners. Sukuna Demon Mother's body can resist for a long time, but for these 2 people, it is simply a weapon for brushing points. Gu Jia, didn't you say that Guan Shan is your good friend? How come, he only has 3 points? Not as good as the fat guy holding the dagger. Deng Lingling crossed the crowd and quietly sat behind Gu Jia, saying sarcastically. In my opinion, he is just a silver spear with a wax spear head, good-looking but useless. His SSS level ability is wasted, he is a coward. Gu Jia turned back slightly, glanced at Deng Lingling, and said seriously, he is a junior brother, not a friend. Deng Lingling snorted contemptuously, crossed her arms in front of her chest, and looked at the scoreboard on the big screen provocatively. Gu Jia looked at Guan Shan's embarrassing points and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Dog Shengzi, what's wrong with you? Chapter 42. The first place this time is mine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Proving Ground, Taiwan Novel Network. After becoming familiar with the fighting methods of the demon tribe, the contestants' killing speed became faster and faster. The competition in the standings has also become fierce. The first place is still Wang Sheng, with a terrifying score of 93 points, followed closely by Liang Yusin with 89 points. The 2 were almost leading by a cliff. Although both of them chose Su Nua Ghost Mother, their playing styles were completely different. Wang Sheng's attacks opened and closed, heading straight towards Huang Long. It usually breaks the defense with 1 punch and shoots the head with 1 punch. If there are little monsters blocking the way, they can be easily cleared away. The advantage is that you can get a lot of points, but it also consumes a lot of physical energy. Liang Yusin's fighting style was very clever. She led several Sunhua ghost mothers to a corner of the battlefield, constantly harvesting the low-level monsters around them. Then he used Sunhua ghost mother's resurrection ability to kill her repeatedly. Often a low-level monster would have to be killed 3 or 4 times by her before it would be reduced to pieces of flesh and unable to be resurrected. Although her scoring efficiency is not as good as Wang Sheng's, she is more stable and consumes less energy. When it comes to the last moment to break out, her ability reserves and physical energy reserves are definitely more abundant than Wang Sheng's. Snap! A contestant was excitedly chopping up the crawler in front of him, completely unaware of the movement behind him, but in an instant, his head was blown off by a monster covered in armor, and he turned into a white light and exited the battlefield. Guan Shan hit on a damaged city wall, quietly watching the battle below. Headshot, internal organs smashed, hands or both legs severed, completely losing combat effectiveness, will be teleported out. He muttered. Even if you activate Rage of Revenge, you must be careful not to be too seriously injured. You only have one chance. Guan Shan looked past the people on the edge of the city and aimed at a group of terrifying human-like creatures standing on the main road. Lynching, the Demon Slayer Division. After the war broke out, the mobile team immediately evacuated the crowd. Remember, most people in the cult are not awakened. During the operation, don't take ordinary people lightly. A bundle of bombs detonated by an awakened person will have the same power as when detonated by ordinary people. A warning, if you continue to approach, you can kill on the spot. Places where crowds gather are key prevention targets. Everyone, cheer up and annihilate all the cultists. Today, in the conference room, He Jing stood in front of the podium and said seriously, outside the trial venue. Clear, Chen Yuxiang said towards the intercom, his eyes full of cold murderous intent. Captain, should we inform Brother Lu about this operation? After all, he participated in the last crusade against the cult, and he has more experience in dealing with these lunatics. A team member asked in a low voice. Chen Yuxiang stared at the surroundings vigilantly, shook his head, and said softly, no, this time is different from last time. The cult may attack from any direction. Brother Lu has no superpowers to assist him, so it won't have much effect. Let him stay here in the training ground, it should be the safest place in Linjiang province. But, our battle is so big, do those cultists really dare to come? Isn't that just throwing themselves into a trap? The team member was still a little optimistic and did not take this mission too seriously. You didn't participate in the last encirclement and suppression, you don't understand. A solemn look appeared on Chen Yuxiang's face, and his expression became more and more grim. They are all lunatics. They don't regard themselves as human beings at all. They can do anything with just a word from the so-called evil god. What I'm worried about is not the believers who are being used as cannon fodder. What I'm worried about is whether the people hiding behind the scenes will take advantage of the fact that our defense focus is on the trial ground to do other things. Upon hearing this, the team member closed his mouth thoughtfully, and his expression gradually became serious. Lincheng Hotel, the highest rooftop. Su Wang took the telescope and scanned the entire Lincheng, and finally fixed his sight in the direction of the trial venue. Master Divine Envoy, judging from the surface, all the defense forces of the Demon Slayer Division have gathered at the trial ground. I'm afraid it will be difficult for our believers to get close to the core area. We have been completely exposed by this action. I suggest that we cancel the discussion. Xiao Shaili did not respond to Su Wang's words, just stare quietly at the hour hand on your wrist. After a moment of silence. Send an order to all believers to storm the trial field at all costs. Gather all level 4 and above practitioners and attack the Demon Slaying Division branch. The target person is He Jing. Xiao Sally looked away from her watch and stared at Su Wang solemnly. I have more important things to do. Whether I can complete the task assigned by my lord depends entirely on you. In this action, all of you will die. But my lord's light will shine to farther corners because of you. We are with God. After Qiu Shaili finished speaking, she looked at Su Wang quietly, waiting for his answer. The corner of Su Wang's mouth curled up, and without any nonsense, he gave 2 orders, threw away the phone, and crushed it with his foot. Be with God. He crossed Qiu Shaili, left Linqing Hotel, and headed towards his own death. Boss Lu, what is Guan Shan doing? The score gap is getting bigger and bigger. The trial field has a time limit, not a competition of who can survive to the end. What if he can't catch up later? LV Jiangming's eyebrows were wrinkled into a Chuan character, and he stared at the scoreboard restlessly. I think Gou Shengzi's strategy is right. His ability focuses on explosive power. Continuous combat is not his strong point. If he really wants to compete with those 2 guys in hand speed, he would probably be exhausted now. Lu Changsheng supported his chin with one hand, staring at the screen calmly, with a flat tone. What he didn't say was, Guan Shan has been practicing with Hongye in the state of rage of vengeance. In other words, he has long been accustomed to the 3rd-level fighting method. How could those 2nd-level monsters still be in his eyes? Don't worry, the winner will be revealed soon. Lu Changsheng raised his chin and looked at the screen. There were so many names, but now only 7 people are still fighting. Puff. The huge body of Sukuna Demon Mother was cut into more than a dozen pieces of meat by the invisible silk thread descending from the sky, sliding all over the ground, and the blood and flesh mixed with the stench of internal organs rushed straight to Liang Yusen. Fortunately, her nose had been numb for a long time, otherwise she might not be so calm. Wang Sheng, 159 points, Liang Yusen, 126 points. Bastard. Liang Yusen bit her silver teeth lightly and cursed Wang Sheng inwardly. Originally, she was stuck in the corner and was having a great time brushing points, but Wang Sheng, the bastard, actually rushed over and killed all the demon mothers she had finally blocked. He also smugly mocked her, if you can't attack your teammates, you won't be alive until now. Liang Yusen was provoked by him, and her temper also came up, and she competed with Wang Sheng in killing speed. The result is that the gap is getting bigger and bigger. Liang Yusen took a deep breath, stabilized her emotions, and looked at the remaining time. There are less than 10 minutes left. At this efficiency, she will definitely lose. If she wants to win, she can only find a way to kill a 3rd-level demon. Liang Yusen looked at Wang Sheng's arrogant back, gritted her teeth, and stretched her fingers upward. A silver-white silk thread fell from the air and connected her wrist. It seemed that a giant in the air was exerting force and lifted her up slightly. The silver-white silk thread rippled in the air, turning into a huge thrust, throwing Liang Yusen out like a cannonball and heading straight into the city. She kept fine-tuning the direction in the air with the silver silk thread. After more than a dozen turns, she finally found a lone 3rd-level demon. That demon was a huge spider with a mouth full of mouthparts on its back. 4 pairs of scarlet magic eyes looked in all directions, waiting to choose someone to devour at any time. Ghost tooth blood spider. It didn't weave a web. It just came out. Is it too late? Great. I won. The first place this time is mine. Liang Yusen loosened the silver thread wrapped around her wrist and gently landed in front of the ghost tooth blood spider, her eyes full of joy. Chapter 43, The teacher has been waiting for you for a long time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The ghost-toothed blood spider in front of Liang Yusen was entangled by countless silver threads, which slowly exerted force and continuously squeezed inward, making a series of sizzling sounds that made people's teeth ache. Liang Yusen wiped the blood from her nose and mouth with her dirty sleeves, swallowed her saliva fiercely, and tried her best to mobilize the superpowers in her body. Just a little bit, damn it, just a little bit. You are almost dead, and your superpowers will be exhausted soon. I won this competition. Wang Sheng had been paying attention to this only competitor. When he found out Liang Yusen's idea, he immediately followed up. Seeing that Liang Yusen had used all means and only trapped the ghost-toothed blood spider, he was relieved. Most of the abilities of the ghost fang blood spider require spider webs to release. This is indeed a good target. Unfortunately, you are just an auxiliary system, and your offensive ability is still too weak. Wang Sheng was no longer as cool as he was at the beginning. His battle robe had been torn into several holes, and his body was covered with red and green blood, but his breath was still stable. Liang Yusin's eyes were red and her head was swollen due to overdrawing her supernatural powers. She could die suddenly at any time. She spit out a mouthful of blood, glanced at Wang Sheng, and slowly squeezed out a few words, who said, "Auxiliary systems can't kill people." As soon as the voice fell, scarlet lines suddenly rushed out of Liang Yusin's body and went straight to the ghost Fong blood spider. The silver-white lines that entangled the ghost Fong blood spider seemed to have been greatly strengthened, and they rolled violently. All of a sudden, the ghost Fong blood spider felt the threat to its life in pain, and no longer thought about saving its physical strength, and struggled desperately. However, the silver-white lines seemed to be endless. As soon as one was torn off, countless more came. The ghost-toothed blood spider knew that it could not break free from its restraints on the ground. The beast's fierce instinct made it give up resistance and let the silver-white lines crush its flesh. Using its last bit of physical strength, it rushed towards Liang Yusin. It wanted to die together with the damned human in front of it. Liang Yusin did not dodge or evade, allowing the blood spider's sharp claws to pierce her body. The gushing blood turned into endless nutrients, and the silver-white lines twisted wildly, firmly fixing the blood-toothed ghost spider and strangling it in an instant. Even if the ghost-toothed blood spider struggled desperately, it could only watch itself being cut into pieces piece by piece, but it was powerless. The broken body pieces fell all over the ground. Liang Yusin's legs softened and she knelt on the ground. Her face was extremely pale, and her pupils gradually became dilated. Before she died, she used up her last bit of strength and cast a contemptuous look at Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng understood the look in her eyes. Liang Yusin was saying, "Can you do it? This girl from the Liang family is really fierce." Lu Jiangming nodded in appreciation, knowing that it is impossible to do it. You can only fight for your life. It doesn't matter. In the end, Go Xingzi will win anyway. They are just busying themselves. Lu Changsheng held his head with both hands, looking at the countdown of less than 6 minutes on the screen, calm and composed. The champion of this session should be Wang Sheng. Although Liang Yusin killed a third-level monster, which is amazing, the score gap is not too big. Wang Sheng still has time to overtake. He Jinyong looked at the scoreboard. The few people left could not catch up with the top two. Gu Jia's so-called junior brother only had 3 points, and there was no possibility of overtaking. The person who won in the end must be the junior brother. He Bing Shan, you can watch. Gu Jia was confused because of her concern before. At the end of the race, she understood Guan Shan's thoughts and calmed down again. Okay, I'll watch. He Jinyong smiled and didn't refute. It's a good thing that young people are ambitious, and there's no need to pour cold water on them. If you have anything to say, it's not too late to say it after the game. I'm beginning to believe that the silly boy is Gu Jia's junior brother. They are the same. This place is not normal. Deng Lingling used her fingers to make a name on her head and joked happily with her girlfriends around her. As Liang Yusin turned into a white light and left the trial field, her score finally settled at 226 points. Heh! I was underestimated. Wang Sheng laughed instead of getting angry. His current score was 189 points. If it was just for victory, it would be a wise choice to go back and kill 2 more Sukuna ghost mothers, but which young man doesn't fight for his ambition? What's more, it's such a naked provocation. He, Wang Sheng, not only wants to win, but also wants to win beautifully. Let everyone know that the number 1 in Linjiang province is surnamed Wang. Wang Sheng bent his legs slightly, stepped out fiercely, and went straight to the nearest group of blood-fanged ghost spiders. The blood-fanged ghost spider in the air has already woven a spider web, which is completely different from the one that Liang Yusin killed just now. The moving speed is extremely fast, and the tiny spider web is not only difficult to detect, but also extremely tough. If you dare to compete with it in speed, you will hit the spider web and behead it at any time, but Wang Sheng just chose such an opponent. Not only does he want to win, but he also wants to win with an overwhelming advantage. Wang Sheng's aura surged, and his battle robe swung wildly without wind. He ignored the threat of the spider web and jumped directly towards the ghost spider. Stupid, there is no place to gain leverage in the air, how can he catch up with the speed of the ghost spider? If he doesn't lead the ghost spider to the ground, he has no chance of winning. Liang Yusin's consciousness has returned to the body, looking at Wang Xing on the big screen and said, as if responding to Liang Yusin's words, the ghost spider moved quickly on the spider web, and it was impossible to capture its position at all. Wang Xing stopped in the air in shock, as if he was fixed in the air, trapped in the spider web. Wang Xing did not struggle or resist, but just turned sideways, freeing up one right hand to prevent himself from being unable to move. It's over, I won. Liang Yusin raised the corner of her mouth and smiled cunningly. A second-level awakener could not break free from the ghost spider's spider web. Wang Xing had already lost, obviously, the blood-fanged ghost spider also thought so. It attacked Wang Xing's immobile side and opened its bloody mouth. As long as it bit hard, this human would definitely die. But it suddenly froze, as if it saw some kind of terrifying existence, and stopped straight in front of Wang Xing. Liang Yusin's pupils suddenly contracted, pushed away the crowd in front of her, rushed forward a few steps, stared at the screen, and muttered. Pressure. Third level extraordinary. 16-year-old third-level awakener. The whole venue was silent, everyone held their breath, staring at the screen in disbelief. Wang Xing twisted his body and exerted force, all the supernatural powers in his body gathered in his right fist. One punch, gusts of wind broke, skin and bones burst, hot blood flowed. With just one blow, the head of the third-level demon blood fawn ghost spider was blown up. The scoreboard was updated again, and Wang Xing's final score was fixed at 289. In the trial venue, there was a cry of surprise, and soon there was thunderous cheers. Everyone looked at the screen excitedly. They actually witnessed the birth of a generation of geniuses with their own eyes. Even if they get old in the future, they can brag to their children and grandchildren. Do you know that Wang Xing? Dad and he were in the same class. Liang Yusin clenched her fist tightly, biting her back teeth tightly, and said nothing. After Wang Xing struck, he dropped his right fist weakly. He had just broken through the third level and barely mobilized his supernatural power, which exceeded his body's load. All the bones in his right hand were broken. What's worse is that the sound of that strike was too loud, attracting all the ghost spiders around. The rustling sound came from far away, getting denser and clearer, but it doesn't matter, it's over. He, Wang Xing, is the first. The well-deserved first. Just as Wang Xing closed his eyes slightly, not afraid at all, quietly waiting for the arrival of the soft light, for some reason, he felt that the temperature around him was a little colder than when he first entered the trial field, and it was still dropping. Why did it take so long? Wang Xing opened his eyes with a little confusion. He was surrounded by blood-fawn ghost spiders, at least a dozen of them, but they all looked as if they were facing a great enemy, ignoring him, the easy prey, and looked nervously into the distance. Wang Xing followed the line of sight of the ghost spiders and vaguely seemed to see a figure. Has it started? Lu Changsheng slowly sat up, and his eyes, which were about to close, opened wide, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised, with a look of expectation. Master has been waiting for you for a long time. Chapter 44 Overwhelming Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Isn't that Guan Shan? I was so focused on looking at Wang Xing that I didn't even notice he was there. With only 5 minutes left, does he dare to show his face? Isn't he too cowardly? Taiwan Novel Network. He must know that the cameras are all on Wang Xing's side now, so he comes here to rub the camera to make his presence felt, right? Clown. Guan Shan's eyes flashed over Wang Xing, and he quickly scanned the blood-toothed ghost spider around him. 12, a bit too much, but you can win. Wang Xing frowned slightly, but he didn't see fear in Guan Shan's eyes. What does this clown want to do? He thought to himself. The next second, the surrounding temperature dropped sharply again. Guan Shan stretched out one hand backwards, and as his supernatural power flowed, a 5-finger-wide ice spear was condensed in his hand. The ghost fong blood spiders all opened their mouths wide and roared as if they were facing a formidable enemy. They howled like ghosts and wolves for a while. On the spider web, ghosts and shadows are like dark clouds covering the sky and the sun, constantly coming towards Guan Shan. You can't hit him like this. Guan Shan murmured. Wang Xing snorted softly and thought, isn't this nonsense you're talking about? The ghost fang blood spider is known for its speed. Even a fourth-level walker on the spider web may not be able to catch it. Otherwise, why do you think I should wait for it? When you are close, you can use coercion to intimidate, but when you are far away, you won't be able to intimidate at all. Guan Shan glanced at it again, but he was really tired of not being able to keep up with the ghost spider's movements. His whole body's momentum suddenly rose. He leaned to one side and leaned back slightly, turning his waist and upper body at the same time to transfer the power to his throwing arm. It's so tricky if you can hit it. Is it true that a blind cat will kill a mouse? You just love acting. If you and Wang Xing weren't in the same scene, I'd look at you. The clown is worse than the fat guy who bought your weapons, and he killed 11 of them. There were boos in the stadium. Deng Lingling looked at Gu Jia's back with a proud smile on her lips, thinking, an SSS-level superpower can't even get 10 points. What's the use of having a high talent level? You're not a loser. Don't be complacent, little monster, you will be the same in the future. Just when everyone thought that Wang Xing must be number one, sudden changes occur. The first one to notice something was wrong was Wang Xing. He clearly felt that Guan Shan's power fluctuations were wrong. This could not be a power that a second-level awakened person could control. Before he could take a closer look. Quiet. Following Guan Shan's violent shout, soaring pressure fell from the sky. The 12 ghost spiders were all suppressed and could not even turn their heads, and a slight frost appeared on the surface of their bodies. The ice spear in Guan Shan's hand was thrown smoothly. Snap. The ice gun directly blasted the head of one of the ghost spiders, leaving a fracture full of ice. Guan Shan, 103 points. The whole place was in an uproar. Third level, another third level. Are all the awakened ones of this generation monsters? What the hell? We are both 16 years old, and others are already at the third level to coerce all living beings. I am only at the first level, and I am not even proficient in using my powers. Why is there such a big gap between people? Guan Shan, 203 points. Look, Guan Shan seems to be stronger than Wang Xing. He frightened 12 ghost spiders at once, and they were all from a distance. Wang Xing could only freeze one, and he had to get up close to do it. A light flashed in He Jinyong's eyes. He stood up from his seat excitedly and murmured, such pressure is at least the peak of the third level, the peak of the third level at the age of 16, I am afraid that my human race will have the amazing Optimus Prime. Deng Lingling's face turned pale, and she gritted her back molars to prevent her expression from getting out of control. She clutched the hem of her skirt and stared at the screen fiercely. Guan Shan 303 points. In less than 1 minute, Guan Shan killed 3 ghost spiders in a row, bringing his points to the top of the list. Wang Xing worked hard to play the entire game, but was surpassed so easily. He was immediately heartbroken and looked at the clown he thought was the clown with a face of disbelief. The ghost fang blood spider was aroused by the death of its companion, and forced to burn the demon blood to break free from the coercion. The remaining 9 ghost spiders bit their companions in unison. They are going to fight. After being stimulated by blood and pain, the ghost spider went completely crazy. The huge ghost spiders, as big as cattle, rushed from the spider web to Guan Shan on the ground. They wanted to tear this dirty human being into pieces. Guan Shan was trapped in a swarm of ghost spiders, and he didn't dare to raise his head. All the powers in his body were activated, forming an ice mist on his body. Although it looks far less sturdy than ice armor, every time the ghost spider's fangs and claws hit the ice mist, it will be bounced away with a muffled ding sound. Energy shield. Level 4. Lu Jiangming's eyes almost popped out of his sockets. No, but it's very close. In Hongye's words, Go Xingzi, who turned on, Wrath of Revenge, is only 1 step away from the 4th level. The one he is using now is a variant of ice armor, which saves power and covers a wider area. It's big, but it doesn't affect the action. Lu Changsheng crossed his arms across his chest and watched with satisfaction as his apprentice slaughtered everyone. Guan Shan felt attacks from all directions, and secretly began to calculate in his heart. I can withstand an attack of this level. I should be able to withstand it and kill a few more. But this opportunity is too rare, why not, try that trick. The ghost spiders have low IQs. They don't understand why this tiny human can't be killed, why can't the thin layer of ice fog be dispersed, and why is the human getting brighter and brighter? A terrifying breath overflowed from Guan Shan, gradually rising, boiling, and condensing. The ghost spider waved its claws numbly. It didn't know why an inexplicable emotion arose in its heart, making it want to escape. The blood-fanged ghost spider's brain, which didn't have much wisdom, didn't understand the name of this emotion. It's called fear. Boom. A burst of cold light exploded from the ghost spider group, and the ghost spider in the center was blown into powder on the spot. The ghost spiders on the periphery were blown away by the shock wave, and formed ice sculptures in the air. When they landed again, they were already dead and couldn't be deader. Kaka. The aftermath of the energy continued to spread along the ground and froze. A huge extremely cold pit was formed. Guan Shan was in the center of the explosion, panting violently. This was his ultimate move based on Rage of Vengeance, which condensed all his superpowers, overdrawn all his vitality, and fought for his life. Guan Shan looked at the corpses around him and gently raised his head. Guan Shan, 1203. Master should be satisfied with this. He fell down helplessly and died on the spot. A soft light shone down, bringing his consciousness back to the venue. In a trance, Guan Shan opened his eyes. He immediately looked for the two familiar figures in the crowd, but he only saw a pair of confused eyes, and everyone had a strange expression on their face. Guan Shan suddenly remembered what his master had said. When you are a little taller than others, others will envy you. When you are a bit taller than others, others will please you. When others can only look up at you, all that is left is awe. Finally, Guan Shan found a lazy figure and saw the girl who kept waving her arms. The corners of his mouth curled up naturally. At this moment, he was much happier than when he saw his points top the list. Chapter 45. What if I'm the only one missing? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a short silence, the audience burst into applause and cheers. Search TWKAN on Google. Everyone was so excited that they couldn't help themselves. Who said that the human race was inferior to the demon race? As long as we, the genius of the human race, take action, it will be earth-shattering. At this moment, awe and expectation defeated envy and jealousy, and everyone couldn't help but look forward to it, how powerful such characters will be in the future. Gu Jia had already stood up from her seat. She jumped out and jumped from the audience stage, which shocked He Jin Yong. They were sitting 7 or 8 meters above the ground. Gu Jia landed firmly and rushed towards the center of the venue like the wind. The crowd around Guan Shan respectfully gave way to a path. He caught the senior sister who jumped over with a smile, happily turned her around twice before gently putting her down, and lowered his head naturally. Gu Jia touched Go Xingzi's head with a look of pride on his face. Holy shit! The eldest sister is really the senior sister of Guan Shan. Zhao Chuan looked at the big screen, and the peerless genius actually lowered his head obediently, with a confused look on his face. Not long after, as if he remembered something, he turned his head and joked loudly, Dang Lingling, didn't you dance very happily just now? You also said that the younger brother in front of me is dying. What's the look in your eyes? You are a real boss. Is this someone you can evaluate casually? Don't look at your own virtue. Whether it's strength, appearance, or background, which one of you is the eldest sister's rival? The eldest sister doesn't want to talk to you because she has a broad mind, unlike you, who is always yin and yang. Let's see if you can still pretend. Zhao Chuan's words were heartbreaking and pierced Dang Lingling's heart. Her already pale face became even more ugly now. Dang Lingling panted violently, her eyes almost bursting with fire. At this moment, she had no way to refute, otherwise she would just be treated like a clown. Dang Lingling was so angry that she stood up and rushed out of the venue. You can't go out now. The guard at the entrance of the venue reached out to stop Dang Lingling and said in a cold tone. Why? Do you want to bully me too? Dang Lingling's voice was filled with tears. She had suffered more humiliation today than she had in her entire life. She was really going crazy. She knew the answer before the guard spoke. Boom, suddenly there was a loud noise in the distance. As the roar grew closer and closer, a famous parent and student all looked blankly outside the door, and the originally lively venue suddenly became quiet. The doubts and fears did not last long. Everyone, please rest assured. The cult wants to take advantage of the awakening ceremony to carry out sabotage. The Demon Slayer Division has already received the news and has made arrangements. Everyone, please wait here and don't get up casually to avoid being mistakenly injured by cultists. The woman on the high platform said calmly. Although everyone was a little surprised, they quickly became quiet out of trust in the Demon Slayer Division. Lu Jiangming frowned and looked in the direction of the explosion with a suspicious look on his face. As a law enforcement member, there was such a big commotion in Lincheng. Why didn't anyone notify him that he had a task to perform? And the sound of the explosion was not far away from here at all. Even, the target of those cultists was right here. Boss Lu, I have to go for a moment. Something is wrong. After saying that, he tried to get up, but found that his arm was tightly grasped and could not move. There are people from the Demon Slaying Division outside. You are a second-level awakened person who can't even use your powers. What are you doing? Just wait and see. If a cultist comes in, I will take action. Lu Changsheng stared at Lu Jiangming quietly. Boss Lu, I know those cultists. They are lunatics, and most of them are ordinary people. It is useless to look at them. The people from the Demon Slayer Division did not participate in the encirclement and suppression operation, so they may not be able to stop all the cultists. If one comes in, many people will die. Lu Changsheng's hand loosened slightly, but he still didn't completely let go. The Demon Slayer Division has made the battle so big, is it possible that you will still be missing? What if? I'm the only one missing. Lu Changsheng was in a daze for a moment. There was silence for a long time. He sighed softly and let go. Don't rush too far forward. If you die, I will collect your body. Lu Jiangming grinned, waved his hand, and said no more. At this moment, a light flashed in his eyes, just like before. You can't go out now. The guard's tone was still cold as he looked at Lu Jiangming running towards him. I'm a member of the Lincheng law enforcement team, I should be outside. Lu Jiangming stood straight. The Demon Slayer Division will take care of it, and if I'm not mistaken, your strength is only level 2, right? The guard's voice was very calm, not ridiculing or teasing, just stating a fact. I have served on the front line for 3 years and I am very familiar with the rules of the Demon Slayer Division. When humans encounter enemies, regardless of their level, if they fight, they will fight to the death. Lu Jiangming's voice was extremely strong. I was on guard in Fengdu. I was hit by 4 magic sealing arrows and my powers were disabled. According to the rules of the law enforcement team, I am not qualified to become an official member at all. The reason why I can still wear this outfit is not because of my background, nor because of my ability to please my superiors, nor because of anything special about me. Because everyone knows that if the human race is in danger, I will rush to the front instead of hiding in the back to seize the living space of the old and weak. If the demon race attacks, I will raise my weapon and fight to the last moment with my body. Behind me are all the hopes of the human race. If anyone dares to extend the butcher knife to them, I will never agree. My 146 comrades buried in Fengdu City will never agree. Lv Jiangming's words were sonorous and powerful. As the voice fell, he raised his right hand and gently hit his chest. Saluting, he rushed out without any hesitation. The 2 guards looked at his back, raised their right hands at the same time and gently hit their chests. They seemed to see a word, behead, on that back. Every stroke was sharp, and it would rather break than bend. The roar outside the stadium sounded again, and the distance seemed to be getting closer and closer. Guan Shan subconsciously blocked Gu Jia behind him and looked around vigilantly. I am the senior sister. Gu Jia muttered quietly, but still hid behind her junior brother. She knew that she couldn't act like a senior sister at this time. Jiar, Go Xingzi. A familiar voice sounded in their ears, and their eyes lit up at the same time. Master is going out for a while, you stay in the venue obediently, and don't leave before you see me. Guan Shan nodded calmly, and when he looked at the audience, the familiar figure had disappeared. Lu Changsheng walked out of the venue like a ghost. He quickly found Lu Jiangming's position and followed him quietly. Congratulations to the host. Apprentice number 002 Guan Shan, the equipment's Wrath of Revenge has broken through to LV3. LV3 Wrath of Revenge strength is: ignore the damage of 4 times the upper limit of the self, and gain 4 times the combat power, lasting for 5 minutes. After each use, you will fall into a near-death state for 15 minutes. The host automatically shares the progress, and the Wrath of Revenge has been upgraded to LV4. LV4 Wrath of Revenge strength: ignore the damage of 10 times the upper limit, and gain 10 times the combat power, which lasts for 5 minutes. After each use, you will fall into a near-death state for 15 minutes. Congratulations to the host for completing the task. Task reward: 1,000 mall coins, 50,000 bonus, life plus 20, 1 skill extraction opportunity. Guanshan's second skill slot has been unlocked. Looking at the system prompt in my mind, I feel the violent energy in my body that can be used at any time. Lu Changsheng's eyes gradually became cold. Just right, let's practice with you crazy people. Chapter 46 Living King of Hell. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Did you see the law enforcement team's car in front of you? Anyone who crosses that car will be shot dead on the spot. That the main road leading to the trial venue was filled with vehicles from the law enforcement team. Alarms were constantly playing in the vehicles, but there were still people cordoning off and rushing toward the venue. Most of them are ordinary people. There are vendors setting up stalls, workers, students, and waiters. They all seem to be possessed by an evil spirit. They ignored the law enforcement team's prohibition and rushed forward desperately with red eyes. Kill! Chen Yuxiang's eyes were already red, but he still did not forget his duty. Bang 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 dash, the sprinting crowd fell down like straw, and then tens of seconds later, they were blown to pieces by the bombs wrapped around them. Boom, for a moment, explosions, gunshots, yells, and roars resounded throughout the sky. On the main road leading to the venue, there were stumps and broken arms everywhere. Black smoke and blood mixed together, like a purgatory on earth. Don't stop, keep shooting. Anyone who crosses the line will be killed immediately. Chen Yuxiang almost roared and shouted the order. From the side of the law enforcement team, a big man suddenly appeared and landed in the center of the crowd with a leap. The big man's body expanded rapidly, turning into a huge brown bear in the blink of an eye. With one palm strike, a law enforcement team member's head was blown open on the spot. When he twisted up and wanted to kill again, the law enforcement team members all reacted and summoned their powers to rush forward. Within a moment, the giant bear was stabbed dozens of times, but it seemed as if it didn't feel any pain, and it carried the knife directly towards Chen Yuxiang. It's just a 3rd level, so arrogant. Chen Yuxiang threw away his pistol and drew out the long knife from his waist. For those who are awakened at level 3 or above, it is difficult for firearms to cause fatal damage, and it is better to use a sharp knife with superpowers. The giant bear roared, opened its bloody mouth, and bit Chen Yuxiang's neck. Chen Yuxiang held the knife at his side, and just a second before he was about to be bitten by the giant mouth, he ducked down to avoid the fatal blow, flipped his wrist, raised the blade upwards, and lifted it sharply. The long knife passed through the body and chopped off the huge bear's head. Warm blood sprayed in the crowd. The giant bear's body fell weakly, making a loud noise. Chen Yuxiang wiped the blood on his face and roared angrily, "Don't be stunned. Continue to carry out the mission. Anyone who crosses the line will be killed without mercy." At this moment, a big hand grabbed his shoulder and pulled him back hard. Chen Yuxiang was about to raise his knife and strike, when he saw the person coming out of the corner of his eye. Run quickly. Awakeners of the transformation system will return to their original form soon after death. Lu Jiangming dragged Chen Yuxiang back while loudly reminding his teammates. The other law enforcement team members were stunned and looked at the headless body. The eye-catching timer on his waist only had 1 second left. Boom! A huge shock exploded among the law enforcement team members. Most of the law enforcement team members are 3rd level awakeners, and only a few elites have reached the 4th level. This self-explosion killed several people in an instant, and the rest were injured and lost their ability to fight. Buzz buzz. Lu Jiangming kept shaking his head, trying to get rid of the annoying tinnitus. He shouted into Chen Yuxiang's ear at the top of his lungs, "What is the arrangement from above? Why are only people from the law enforcement team here? Demon slaying, where are the people from the department?" "There are no people from the Demon Slayer department," Chen Yuxiang responded in a loud voice. Although he was a fourth-level awakened person, he could only use energy to protect his vitals in a hurry. The close range just now almost deafened him. "What did you say?" Lu Jiangming was afraid that he heard wrongly, so he looked at Chen Yuxiang anxiously. "The cult's combat power of level 4 and above is all at the branch. All the people from the Demon Slayer division have gone to support the branch. Except for a team of people left at the stadium, we are the only ones left." Lu Jiangming felt a chill in his heart as he looked at the fierce cultists in front of him who were not afraid of death. To join the demon slaying division, one must have at least level 5 strength, or have military exploits on the front lines. With a team of people around, the stadium should not be lost, but they couldn't afford to send more people to support them. "Then what are you talking about? We can't let those little kids inside come out and fight for their lives." Lu Jiangming pulled out the gun from Chen Yuxiang's waist and started shooting wildly at the cultists. Chen Yuxiang gritted his teeth, jumped onto the roof of the car, and used his powers to expand the scope of his vision to the extreme, hoping to find those awakened ones mixed in the crowd. "Hey, kid, can you tell who the awakened one is?" An unfamiliar voice sounded in Chen Yuxiang's ears. His nerves were already tense, and he subconsciously slashed with a knife. A strong backlash came, almost splitting Chen Yuxiang's jaw. He stepped back suddenly, holding the knife across his side, and wanted to slash again. "Wait a minute, Xiaoqinzi, that's one of our own." Lu Changsheng shook his arm. He was a little hurt from the slash just now. God Spirit can only absorb supernatural energy and cannot resist physical damage. Fortunately, with the strengthening of his innate skills, his physical body has long been far superior to ordinary people, otherwise the knife would not have been as simple as a little pain. "Boss Lu, you. Stop talking nonsense. I've confiscated your money and I'm not going to do anything for you. Hurry up and tell me who is the awakened one. I have to go back when it's over. Today is a big day for the leftovers." Lv Jiangming didn't know why a big shot like Lu Changsheng couldn't even read the air, but he also knew that now was not the time to ask, so he quickly shouted at Chen Yuxiang. "Little Chen, quickly give Boss Lu some guidance and find the awakened one in the crowd." Although Chen Yuxiang didn't know what the stranger was capable of, out of trust in the big brother, he still threw a walkie-talkie to Lu Changsheng and climbed back to the roof of the car. He kept scanning the crowd, his eyesight working to the extreme. At 3 o'clock, the man in the flowered shirt, hiding behind 3 workers. After Chen Yuxiang's voice fell, a few seconds later, puff, the head of the man in the flowered shirt flew up instantly, and the cut was as neat as a laser cut. Chen Yuxiang's eyes were wide open. He didn't know how Lu Changsheng did it. He didn't even see the other party's figure, but he knew that this was a real big shot. At 1 o'clock, a young man in a plaid shirt. At 12 o'clock, a young man in overalls with a basketball in his hand. Still at 1 o'clock, a woman in a red skirt with big waves. Chen Yuxiang stood in the car and kept reporting the position to the intercom. The injured team members leaned against the wall, watching the captain read out the characteristics of the cultists one by one, as if he was calling the king of hell. In a few seconds, the awakened people hiding in the crowd would be separated from their heads. Everyone looked at each other, and the same thought came to their minds. "I have seen many living bodhisattvas, but this is the first time I have seen a living king of hell." Chapter 47 Speech and Redemption. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom, the roar of the bomb continued, but the people in the venue slowly put their minds at ease, because the distance of the explosion seemed to be getting farther and farther. The teenagers in the audience all looked relieved, but the woman on the podium sighed softly and grabbed the microphone. "Do you think that the war is far away from Lincheng and far away from you? Anyway, if the sky falls, there is a high place to hold it up, so it can't crush you. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network." The simple question attracted everyone's attention. Some people were thinking, some looked around blankly, and more people looked at the podium in confusion. Today is the most important moment of Linjiang province every year. The person standing here should be Director He Jing of the Lynching Demon Slaying Division branch. But, among all the senior executives, only I, the Director of the Education Bureau, am here. Do you know why? That the originally noisy venue became quiet. The students looked at each other, not knowing what the woman on the platform wanted to say. Because all the awakened people above the 4th level of the cult are in the branch. Their goal is to assassinate Minister He. All the high-level officials of the Demon Slayer Division in lynching have used themselves as bait, just to make you safer. At this moment, just outside this wall, every minute and every second, someone is dying to protect you. We are not supermen, we are also afraid of death. But for the future of the human race, we are willing to die. Whether the enemy is a demon or a cult, the human race will never compromise and will never give up. You will eventually grow up, and one day in the future, you will also face a life and death choice. When that time comes, please remember today firmly and never forget it. If the enemy invades, we will never retreat. When we will fight to the death. That the woman's voice was loud and clear, and every word fell heavily on the hearts of those young people. The innocent eyes slowly faded away, and everyone in the venue looked in the direction of the explosion, with some kind of emotion burning in their eyes. Sometimes, a moment is enough for a teenager to grow up. Today, everyone understood a truth: war is really far away from lynching. But it is very close to humans. The battle outside the venue is still going on. A middle-aged woman, holding her 7-year-old daughter, hid behind a roadside trash can, shivering. This morning, the daughter clamored to watch the awakening ceremony. The woman worked late yesterday and didn't want to join in the fun, but she couldn't resist the child. Thinking of her daughter often being alone at home after her husband left, she still held on to her spirits and took her daughter out. Who knew that they were still late after rushing? Just when the woman was thinking about how to explain to the child, the cult came to kill. Behind her, there were loud noises, and in front of her were corpses. The woman dared not retreat, let alone take a step forward. She could only hug her daughter tightly and hide in the corner in despair. "Mom, I was wrong. It's all my fault. If we didn't come to see, it would be fine." The girl's voice was a little choked. Boom, the huge explosion sounded again. The woman covered her daughter's ears tightly. Her eardrums had been torn and she couldn't hear the child's voice clearly. She could only comfort her softly. "Don't be afraid, Nyonyo, you'll be fine with your mother. Soon, it will be fine. Don't look, close your eyes." The daughter in her arms kept trembling. The woman felt that the trash can behind her suddenly shook, and she turned her head. A corpse hit the trash can and fell down helplessly. His shirt was bulging, as if it was filled with things. Boom! In the woman's desperate pupils, a flame burst out, getting bigger and brighter. The woman could even feel the scorching heat. Her mind was blank. She just protected her daughter under her body tightly and blocked the fatal impact with her back. 1 second, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, the heart-wrenching pain did not come, and even the terrible high temperature seemed to have disappeared. The woman raised her head tremblingly and looked back. Young man in black clothes, one hand against the trash can, the other hand in front of him. The violent flames had no idea where they had gone. Lu Changsheng looked at the curled-up mother and daughter, frowned, and said faintly, "Take off your clothes." The woman couldn't hear clearly. She could only look at him in confusion, and carefully backed away with the child. "Take off your clothes. I can save you." Lu Changsheng raised his voice. The woman heard clearly this time. She glanced at her daughter behind her, and then at the man in front of her who was obviously not a normal person. The woman nodded tremblingly. Her eyes were already full of tears. She began to unbutton her shirt with one hand, and gently covered her daughter's eyes with the other hand. "Sir, as long as you can save Nyonyo, you can do whatever you want. But, please, you must save Nyonyo, I beg you." Lu Changsheng knew that the woman had misunderstood his meaning, and frowned even more tightly, but now was not the time to explain, so he could only urge her to move faster. The woman's shirt buttons were all unbuttoned, revealing her fair skin. When she was about to take off her skirt, Lu Changsheng reached out to stop her. "It's okay, you don't have a bomb on you, put on your clothes quickly, I'll get you out." The woman was stunned, and she didn't understand what was going on. There were cultists with bombs tied to their bodies outside, and law enforcement officers were outside the venue. The broadcast behind her was still playing in a loop, and those who crossed the line would be killed without mercy. In this situation, how can you survive? Lu Changsheng didn't have time to explain slowly, so he took off his coat, put it on the woman, picked her up by the waist and carried her on his shoulders, and used his free hand to gently hug the little girl. The moment she entered Xintianyu, the woman felt that the color of the world seemed to fade a little. Then, the picture in front of her moved backwards frantically, and she couldn't see where she was at all. When the picture stopped moving, she and her daughter had been put down by Lu Changsheng, and there were seriously injured law enforcement officers and innocent people around them. The woman hugged her daughter tightly, looking around in horror, unable to believe that she was really saved. I checked, there is no bomb on this woman. I don't have time to check the little girl. You hurry up to confirm their identities. There are more and more people in the cult over there. I'm leaving first. After saying that, Lu Changsheng's figure faded and disappeared again. The woman panted quickly, tears couldn't stop flowing out of her eyes. In a daze, she saw a few small words on the coat and remembered the identity of the benefactor. Changsheng Funeral. Lu Changsheng shuttled through the crowd frantically, constantly killing those hidden awakeners. With his current strength, even if he doesn't activate the Wrath of Revenge, just using Xintianyu, he can easily crush the awakeners below the 4th level. The improvement after the Xiantian Gong breaks through LV4 is completely a qualitative change, and he believes that the Wrath of Revenge is the same. But today, it seems that it is not necessary. Those awakeners mixed in the crowd are at most the peak of the 3rd level, and they will break at the touch. As he continued to kill at targeted locations, almost all the awakened ones among the cultists were strangled to death. Lu Changsheng also shifted his focus from killing the awakened ones to rescuing ordinary people. The battle should be over soon. Chapter 48 Explosion in God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The battle outside the stadium was drawing to a close. Only a few cultists were left, shouting incomprehensible slogans, rushing straight ahead, and fell straight down after being shot. Due to the presence of Lu Changsheng, the awakened ones among the cultists could not get close at all and were killed. Senior, there are no awakened ones in the crowd. After Chen Yuxiang shouted into the intercom, his legs softened and he fell on the roof of the car. Due to the long-term high-intensity maintenance of the qi, his eyes were red and swollen, almost blind, and blood and tears flowed down his cheeks, dripping. Without the deterrence of the awakened, the law enforcement team members could even take the initiative to attack. Those ordinary believers were not the opponents of the awakened at all, and the battle was almost one-sided, except for a few law enforcement team members who ran slowly and were injured by the aftermath of the bomb. There were almost no casualties. The rest is the finishing work. After this vote, I guess you will be promoted again. Remember to help Big Brother. LV Jiangming and Chen Yuxiang sat side by side on the ground, laughing and joking. Chen Yuxiang grinned, and he didn't even have the strength to speak. He struggled to find something on his body, but couldn't find it for a long time. LV Jiangming took out a cigarette from his pocket, and stuffed it into his mouth. Kacha got the cigarette lit, and the curling green smoke slowly floated up. Chen Yuxiang took a big puff of satisfaction and exhaled gently. At this time, a childish female voice came. Uncle, thank you for saving my life and my mother's life. The girl held 2 candies in her hand and handed them to LV Jiangming and Chen Yuxiang respectively. LV Jiangming took the candy, gently touched the girl's head, pointed at the coat draped over the girl and said with a smile, "The one who saved you was not us, but Boss Lu. Boss Lu will come over later. Remember to thank him." The girl's mouth curled up, and a beautiful smile bloomed on her small face that was blackened by the war. LV Jiangming peeled off the candy, stuffed it into Chen Yuxiang's mouth, and asked, "Is it sweet?" Chen Yuxiang kept panting, drooping his head weakly, and spoke with difficulty, "I can't taste it, it's numb." "Haha, I told you to smoke less, but you didn't listen. Look at you." LV Jiangming's words suddenly stopped. He stared at the candy package in his hand, his voice trembling. "I remember that when we were encircling and suppressing the cult, the information said that Qianwei Candy Factory was one of the cult's dens, right?" "Yes, what's wrong?" Chen Yuxiang replied nonchalantly. LV Jiangming sat up suddenly as if he was pricked by a needle and rushed to the little girl. He grabbed the girl and asked, "Child, where did you get this candy?" "When my mother went to buy breakfast just now, an uncle gave it to me. He also gave me this school bag." The girl pointed to the pink school bag behind her, which seemed to be quite heavy and hung around her waist. "Sir, what's wrong?" The girl's mother heard the child's voice and rushed over, looking at LV Jiangming in confusion. LV Jiangming had no time to explain at all. He could only shout, "Disperse, all disperse," while tearing the school bag frantically, but before he could pull the school bag off, a white light shone into his pupils. Lu Changsheng, who was fighting on the front line, suddenly felt something in his heart. For some reason, goosebumps suddenly appeared all over his body, as if something bad was going to happen. Boom! The huge explosion sounded again. This time the source of the sound was behind Lu Changsheng. He turned his head sharply and looked at the corner of the street, where the law enforcement team placed the wounded and civilians. At this moment, a huge tongue of fire was rising into the sky, bringing with it billowing smoke. No. No no. No no no. Lu Changsheng activated Rage of Revenge, and combined it with Xintianyu. His speed was extremely fast. He took a step forward, like a rainbow passing through a crack, and arrived in an instant. Lu Jiangming's stomach was blown through, and blood, flesh, internal organs, and intestines were splattered everywhere. The red blood mist floated down from the sky, blurring his face. Time froze, and the world was gray. Lu Changsheng didn't dare to touch Lu Jiangming's body, so he could only gently lift his head to make his breathing smoother. "Lu. Boss Lu, it's all my fault. I didn't check carefully." Lu Changsheng didn't speak, but felt that the world in front of him was a little blurry. He kept asking the system if there was any medicine that could save Lu Jiangming's life. Daoyuo Jin Dan, price, 20,000. Jiuhua Yulu Dan, price, 25,000. Qinglian Shengsheng Dan, price, 18,000. Damn system, why is it so expensive? Boss Lu. Actually, I should have died a long time ago. I dream of my 146 comrades every night. I always tell them, I'm so lonely. Why? I didn't die in Fengdu City. LV Jiangming's voice became weaker and weaker. Lu Changsheng turned off the system and looked at him quietly. Boss Lu, you are a venerable, right? I don't know, why are you hiding in this small lynching, but the human race really needs strong people like you. If you can. I would like to ask you, when the human race is in danger, can you help? Even at the last moment of his life, what Lu Jiangming cared about most was still not himself. Just like that year, the awakening ceremony was filled with guests and friends. A generation of geniuses rose up in Lincheng. They had heavy responsibilities and did not dare to refuse. Lu Changsheng nodded silently and held his remaining half-broken hand. Eternal life. Lu Changsheng was startled. This is the first time someone has called him that since he came to this world. Lu Jiangming called Lu Changsheng by his name for the first time, and it was also the last word he said. After all, he couldn't finish his sentence. Lu Jiangming's hands dropped weakly, his eyes were slightly closed, and he breathed his last breath. The soul returns to Fengdu. Next to Lu Jiangming's body, there were two charred corpses that were exploded beyond recognition. The clothes on the smaller one were all torn to pieces by the blast. Only the part protected by her palms could barely be seen clearly. That was, the word immortality is two words. When the smoke cleared, the cultists hiding in the darkness cheered and roared. Like a vulture after seeing a delicious corpse, it rushed towards the training ground like crazy. The loud noise from behind the law enforcement team gave them hope of victory. Desperado, Thelma and Louise. Lu Changsheng gently put Lu Jiangming down and summoned the red and black mask. The cold touch did not suppress the raging murderous intention in his heart. He stood up straight and stared at the approaching cultists. System, I am here. Exchange mall coins for abilities. God Spirit, is fully activated, increased to the extreme. I want to kill someone. All of a sudden, the violent and coercive air waves rolled in and hit like an overwhelming mountain, instantly covering the whole city. It's like a demon descending from the sky. The whole lynching fell silent, whether it's the walkers fighting bloody battles in the branch, or the extraordinary beings hiding behind others, even those millions of ordinary people. They all raised their heads in unison and stared blankly at the horizon, a mixture of fear and terror. The same thought flashed through everyone's mind: God comes to the world. Chapter 49. How can a mayfly bring shame to the heavens? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Changsheng took a step forward and his body slowly rose. In his eyes, lynching became smaller and smaller, and became clearer and clearer. Every change, every breath, was inevitable. Surging power swept through the body like a wave, and every slight movement of the body caused this energy to roll violently. Is this the power of the venerable? Lu Changsheng murmured. He didn't know what level of venerable he was now, but he was definitely not one that those insignificant practitioners could compete with. Lu Changsheng closed his eyes slightly and calmed down to perceive everything around him. For hundreds of miles in radius, the traces of all living things are extremely clear, as if you have a God's perspective. Search TWKAN on Google. Outside the training ground, everyone felt that they were being spied on, and even the color of their underwear could not be concealed. There seemed to be a giant eye in the sky, staring at them firmly and crushing them at any time. Lu Changsheng raised his right hand, turned his palm and lifted it upward. The air waves rolled and roared. The cultists on the ground flew up out of thin air. They were all extremely panicked. The sudden weightlessness made them instinctively wave their hands, but their bodies still rose higher and higher. In Lu Changsheng's field of vision, cultists were easy to identify, and he didn't even need to check one by one to see if there were any bombs tied to them. Under the pressure of His Holiness, any hiding is in vain. Lu Changsheng controlled all the remaining cultists with one hand, exerted a slight force on his palm, and gave them a strong squeeze. It's like squeezing a group of ants to death. Snap, pop, pop. The flesh and blood continued to explode in the air, turning into blood mist, and it was like a rain of blood fell in the sky. Bloody and weird, the surviving law enforcement team members, looking at this horrific scene, all collapsed to the ground with weakness. After witnessing such miracles with their own eyes, they could no longer say, "There is no God in this world." Even most people have a ridiculous idea in their minds. Maybe the cultists were not deceived. Gods really do exist in this world. Lu Changsheng easily crushed the remaining cultists, but the anger in his heart did not subside at all. Not enough. It's not over yet. He turned his head slightly and looked at the demon-slaying division branch. Just now, I used God's Spirit to increase my strength to the extreme, spending a total of nearly 3,000 mall coins. Now, although the consumption rate of mall coins has slowed down, the remaining ones can only last for 30 minutes at most. Lu Changsheng thought about it for a while and no longer hesitated. Half a step into the void, one step forward, turned into rainbow light and rushed straight into the Demon Slayer division branch. The monstrous pressure spread from far to near. Everyone who was fighting fiercely stopped, and they all used their powers to resist. However, how can a mayfly regret the blue sky? Lu Changsheng just blinked and was already killed. He stretched out his right hand, pointed it into a claw, and swung outward violently. Everyone in the branch was pulled by a huge force and flew out. For a moment, the crowd smashed through the walls, and the originally majestic demon-slaying division branch instantly became a mess. Here, Lu Changsheng couldn't tell the difference between the cultists and the people from the Demon Slayer division, so he had to drag them out first and identify the people before taking action. Otherwise, these people would not be as simple as a bruised nose and a swollen face. The people from the Demon Slayer division quickly hugged each other after landing, and gathered together, looking warily at the monster slowly falling from the sky. Jing struggled to raise his head. He was not seriously injured in the battle with the cult. Seeing that the Demon Slayer division was about to annihilate all the cultists, a killing god rushed out halfway. He immediately regarded Lu Changsheng as the reinforcements of the cult, and his heart dropped. Venerable, irreversible, it is the truth of this world. Jing gritted his teeth, activated his 6th-level powers to the extreme, and barely stood up from the terrifying pressure. He tremblingly pulled out the long sword from his waist, stood with it horizontally, and shouted loudly. All the Demon Slayer division, draw your sword and fight. Remember our original oath. If foreigners invade our territory, I will wear armor and fight to the death. Even if we are facing an abyss, we must not forget our ambition to save the world. Demon Slayer Division, I will never retreat until I die. When you fight to the death. The voice is sonorous and the words are powerful. Lu Changsheng turned around and looked at He Jing quietly. The other person's eyes were so scared, so fearful, but full of thunder. Groups of supernatural powers erupted behind him, and the sounds of drawing knives came one after another. Even the people in the Demon Slayer Division knew that the man in front of them could crush them into powder with just a raise of his hand, but no one took a step back. Lu Changsheng's heart seemed to be touched. Suddenly, everyone felt the pressure on their heads lighten, and the oppressive and violent pressure seemed to disappear. He Jing, who had been taking the lead and carrying it, suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and almost stumbled to the ground. A cold voice came. Is there anyone from the Demon Slayer Division over there? Lu Changsheng pointed to the other side, where dozens of high-level practitioners fell to the ground in fear, trembling. Only then did He Jing see the scary man and the strange red and black mask. He Jing was startled. Guizhai agent. Aren't the people in Guizhai all paid to do things? The Demon Slayer Division didn't pay them to exterminate the cult. Is this person here on behalf of Guizhai? Or have other plans, and is that pattern the most mysterious new agent, the ghost snake? In just one glance, He Jing's mind was filled with thoughts and thoughts. If there are no people from the Demon Slayer Division over there, I will take action. Before He Jing could think about it carefully, Lu Changsheng's cold voice came again. Although it felt good to pretend to be a boss, his mall coins were burning and there was no chance for him to feel happy. He Jing snorted coldly and said disdainfully, I, the Demon Slayer, can only die standing, not kneeling. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Changsheng raised his hand and waved it away. The ground shook slightly, the terrifying coercion solidified into substance, like a huge rolling log crushing it. There was no time to cry. In an instant, the protective energy of dozens of walkers was shattered, and they were crushed into pieces. The ferocious red blood spattered wantonly, dyeing the door of the demon-slaying department red. These cultists are the strongest cultists gathered from across Linjiang province, and there are also 5th and 6th level experts among them, but in front of the Kryptonian Lu Changsheng, everything was like a chicken or a dog, broken into pieces at a touch. If it weren't for the fact that the funds couldn't be spent, Lu Changsheng would definitely not be able to resist pretending given his character. It's a pity that the mall coins are already running low, and in order to achieve the strongest combat power, he has used Rage of Vengeance the whole time, which has already exceeded 5 minutes. Even if you use the infinite health bar to resist one negative effect, the second near death will come soon. Final. Lu Changsheng took a deep look at He Jing, said nothing, and his figure quickly faded. There was no fluctuation of aura, no trace of the circulation of superpowers. Lu Changsheng just appeared in front of everyone, gone. The violent pressure disappeared without a trace, leaving only the broken limbs and the pungent smell of blood on the ground, proving that the monster once existed. There is purgatory in front of you. He Jing's legs weakened and he could no longer hold up. He fell to the ground and gasped violently. His back was already soaked with cold sweat, his hands and feet were cold, and his heart was beating wildly. Hua Quan, you bastard, are you all shit-eaters in Dark Moon Pavilion? There is such a monster in Guizhai, and you can't get any information at all. I will be tricked to death by you sooner or later. That He Jing was scared and scolded his friend in his heart. I couldn't calm down for a long time. Chapter 50, Friend of Immortality. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Changsheng's eyes were dark and time seemed to stand still. I don't know how long it took. Plop, 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 plop. The heart started beating again, and the fresh air went into the lungs through the nasal cavity, and the limbs and bones were rejuvenated again. He sat up suddenly and gasped violently, like an unfortunate drowning person who had just been rescued. A black shadow rushed over and knocked him down again. Dog leftover. Stop digging. Master is awake. Gujia's voice was trembling, as if she had just cried. Guan Shan threw away the shovel, walked back to the store from the backyard, leaned against the door frame and smiled at the master and senior sister in the bedroom. Senior sister, I told you, don't worry. Master will wake up soon. Why are you in a hurry to dig a hole for him? It was the master who said, if he leaves, just dig a hole for him. Let us not be sad. Gujia's voice was a little choked and intermittent. You remember this very well. Lu Changsheng tapped Gu Jia's head gently, helped her up, and looked back at the boy outside the door. Lu Changsheng vaguely remembered that before he died, he seemed to have sent a message to his 2 apprentices, telling them not to wait for him, and that he had returned to the store. He could probably guess what the 2 apprentices would react to seeing his body. After all, Guan Shan died frequently, and it was obvious at a glance that the master's breath had not been completely cut off. Gu Jia must have been too concerned and forgot the skills that the junior brother knew, so how could the master not know them? Fortunately, everyone was there. Lu Changsheng's heart suddenly felt a little bit of pain. He took a deep breath, touched Gu Jia's beaten head, and looked at Guan Shan again. Go Xingzi, your last move was quite powerful. Have you named it? Do you want the master to help you think of a majestic name? Master, I have already thought of it. The name I gave that move is called, Return to the Ruins. Guan Shan spoke hurriedly, fearing that the master's strange brain circuit would come up with some strange names again. Well then. Lu Changsheng looked a little disappointed, and added, I also want to name your new skill, Wild Dog Roar. Next time you have any breakthroughs, remember to tell the master. After that, Lu Changsheng slowly stood up and walked out of the store. Guan Shan silently reminded himself in his heart that he must not give the master any chance to name it. Lu Changsheng suddenly paused, as if he remembered something, and said to Guan Shan, You have worked hard this year. I didn't know that the side effects of revenge anger would be so painful. I'm used to it. Cultivation always requires suffering. Guan Shan's voice was very calm. As long as it can improve strength, what's so scary about dying? Lu Changsheng looked at the 2nd apprentice deeply, and said nothing more. He just nodded a little distressed and continued to walk out. Master, where are you going? Do you want to cook your meal? Gu Jia wiped the tears from her face, and her voice finally returned to normal. No need, I'm going to collect the body of your Uncle Lu. Lu Changsheng waved his hand and left Changsheng Hall. Guan Shan and Gu Jia looked at each other and were stunned. When he looked at his master again, he only saw a lonely back. The next day, in all cities of the human race, several news were broadcast. The evil cult used the awakening ceremony to cause chaos and has been suppressed by the Demon Slayer Division. All evil cult dens in Linjiang province have been cleared out, and all Linjiang citizens have a bright future. The frontline demons launched another attack and were blocked by the first line of defense. The human race took advantage of the situation to push back and the troops have reached Fengdu City. These news are more exciting than one. Just when everyone was excited and shouted to wipe out the demons and cleanse the world, the counterattack of the demons came. The 3 lords of the abyss attacked together and wiped out the frontline troops of the Demon Slayer Division, and once killed them to the City of Dawn. The human race fought hard for 3 days, leaving behind tens of thousands of corpses, and barely managed to hold on. Everyone was silent. As long as the demon race is not destroyed, it will always be the sword of Damocles hanging over the human race. Dawn City blocked it this time, but what about the next time? What about the next time? A large number of desperate voices suddenly appeared among the human race, as if the people who shouted wipe out the demon race 3 days ago were not them. These news have nothing to do with Lu Changsheng. The small cardboard in the morning hall in the store has been replaced with real golden nanmo, and the surrounding flowers are all freshly picked, with a little dew hanging on them. Lu Changsheng did not invite a popular girl group or talk show actor, because the golden nanmo coffin cost all his savings, and he also borrowed some money from Hongye to avoid starvation. Lu Changsheng believed that Lu Jiangming would not mind. He didn't seem to like Pure Land of Bliss and Happy Delivery very much when he was alive. After today, LV Jiangming will be buried in the Martyrs' Cemetery. Lu Changsheng sat alone beside the coffin, raised the beer in his hand to LV Jiangming, and said with a smile, "Old Lu, do you know? This bed you sleep on is more expensive than my entire store combined. Damn, if I rely on selling blood, I don't know when I can get it for you." Lu Changsheng put down the beer, picked up the mobile phone beside him, and read it as if talking to himself. LV Jiangming, at the age of 12, both parents died on the front line. Alone, he spent all his pension in exchange for cultivation resources. At the age of 14, he showed his talent and became a congenital awakener, and practiced harder. At the age of 16, he killed all the enemies at the awakening ceremony and won the first place. At the age of 20, he graduated from the military academy and entered the front line to guard the first line of defense, Fengdu City. At the age of 23, he was seriously injured and retired. He was the only one left alive among 147 people at the same time. At the age of 35, he took the initiative to fight in the battle against the evil cult in Lincheng, and finally, died in battle. Just a few words, that's his life. Lu Changsheng closed the information of Guizhai. He was obviously very familiar with Lu Jiangming, but it seemed like he knew him for the first time. Lu Changsheng raised his beer and drank it all, grinning. So you are really the first, I thought you were bragging. No one responded to him. Is it worth it, Lao Lu? In a trance, Lu Changsheng seemed to hear that familiar voice again. Changsheng. No words, no sleep. Lu Changsheng signed his name in the relative column of the crematorium and buried the ashes carefully. The pure white tombstone at the entrance of the martyrs' cemetery was very crowded, and Lu Changsheng could not find Lu Jiangming's name. After thinking for a long time, he decided to make a separate tombstone for him. Anyway, based on Lu Changsheng's understanding of Lu Jiangming, he is not a person who likes to join in the fun. As for what to write on the tombstone, Lu Changsheng has also thought about it. LV Jiangming, friend of Changsheng. You should not mind that my name is in front of you, right? Anyway, it's useless for you to mind, you are already dead. Lu Changsheng seemed to be amused by himself, laughing out loud, and even the corners of his eyes were a little wet. After a long silence, Lu Changsheng waved his hand, turned around and left silently. A gust of wind blew, bringing half a newspaper, which floated gently in front of the tombstone. The headline on the front page was written in bright red and black font: Gue Zhai's new agent, slaughtered all the evil cultists in Linjiang in 7 days. Is he a messenger of justice or a devil from hell?